Hey guys, how's it going? Stout Man coming back at you once again today. And coming today to talk to you about a DVD that I picked up recently. That's right, as you may have noticed from when I picked up Last Days last week, I actually do still pick up DVDs. As much as I like Blu-ray, not everything is on Blu-ray, and there are certain titles, yes, I'm like moving the DVD over here. There are certain titles that will just never be on Blu-ray, more than likely. Maybe they will someday, but if I can get it for under $5, you know, I'm kind of at that stage where I'm tired of waiting for them to put it on Blu-ray, so I'm just like, screw it, I'll just buy it on DVD. And yeah, so I showed you last week that I picked up this movie, Last of Days, and I talked a little bit about it, and I mentioned that it was similar to another movie that Gus Van Sant did. And apparently it's a part of a trilogy of movies that he's done, of which I've only seen two. And because I liked Last Days so much, I decided to pick up the other movie in that trilogy that I had seen, Elephant. This gets a lot of mixed reviews. I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of reviews of this that were really incredibly negative. And the thing about that is that the people who are reviewing this negatively, I can't even really call them stupid. I mean, more often than not, when I'm watching a movie and it's to me something that's really awesome and really good and really well done and really well crafted, I feel like when people review a movie like that and they don't like it for whatever reason, and I do like it, I'm almost always in a position where I can be like, well, this is why you don't like it, and well, that's why you don't like it, and usually it has something to do with, well, you're not educated enough on this. Well, you don't know enough about movies, you know what I mean? But in this case, the negative reviews, most of them reflect at least a basic understanding of film, and they reflect a basic understanding of story structure and all that stuff. And so even though I don't necessarily agree with the reviews, I have to at least note that, like, you know, okay, at least in this case, they're not all unintelligent tripe. You know, they're not all just, well, it's boring, I couldn't get into it because it's not an action movie, it's not Fast and Furious 15. So I feel like maybe there's a legitimate reason not to like this, but that being said, I can't think of any legitimate reason not to like this. I've seen a lot of reviewers come up with their own reasons why they don't like it. I just don't agree with them entirely. I mean, I think that they've got the wrong idea about what this is, and that they are kind of reading the film wrong, as it were. I'm thinking about doing a little video maybe about reading film, because, you know, a lot of people don't think about film as something that can be read like a book, but there are certain aspects of film that are undeniably require you to read close reading style, in the same way that you would have to read closely a book in order to understand all the ins and outs. And I feel like this is one of those movies where you definitely have to dig a little bit deeper, look beneath the surface, and kind of understand what they're trying to go for here. So, as you can see on the back here, first of all, it's a Canadian release. It was interesting because when I got it, it looked new at least. I think it is new. It's a new copy. But I did not know that it was a Canadian release. Quite frankly, don't care. But the other thing that I was going to point out here on the back is that you see the kid's back. You see him walking, you know, away from the camera. And that's something that you see in Last Days, which kind of pulled from Elephant. You see a lot of following the person around, not actually seeing their front, only seeing their back. And that's like a directorial style of Gus Van Sant that I really actually like. I really think it's kind of cool. Because, you know, most people would say, well, we can't even see the character. Why do we care? I mean, we're only getting to know his backside. Why do we care about his backside? And it's just like, no, that's not the point. The point is you're following the person around and kind of getting a sense for their character through just seeing what they do on a day-to-day basis. I feel like to a certain extent Gus Van Sant in this movie is talking about the almost pervasive surveillance world that we live in nowadays, where there's a camera for everything nowadays. I mean, this is obviously a movie that's pulling from and kind of talking about and commentating on the whole Columbine High School shooting that happened. I think it was 5 or so years before this came out. I'm not sure exactly on the date, but obviously it's kind of a commentary on that. But on top of that, because we see him following the kids around in the movie, I get the sense that there's a certain aspect of his commentary that's focusing a little bit on the pervasive surveillance culture that we live in as well. Because, one of the big things that you see related to the Columbine shooting is not only the news footage, all the media attention that it got, but also in the media they showed footage of a security camera from the school that captured these guys with their guns on camera walking down the hallway. And for most of it, you really can't see their faces. You can only see them from the back. So I feel like there's a certain aspect of that that's a kind of commentary on how these kids are always being watched. They're always, front and center, and they never really have any privacy. And yet, in a world with no privacy, they're being ignored regardless. So, they don't even care that they don't have any privacy, because why should they? We've given them no reason to care. I don't know. I guess I'm reading into it a little bit much there. I wouldn't say too much, because I don't really believe in that. I don't really believe that you can read too much into a film. If you can find evidence for something in a film, just like if you can find evidence for something in a book, then you have a legitimate claim to make. And I feel like I've found evidence to support my claims on at least that particular aspect of it. But regardless, a lot of the complaints that I saw about this movie is that people really couldn't follow the story. And all I have to say to that is you have to pay attention. This is not necessarily an easy movie to pay attention to, because it is so vastly different from other movies, not only in how it is shot, but in how the story is told. Regardless, it's a directorial choice, and it's not necessarily a fault of the film. It's just something that he did differently, and since maybe you're not necessarily used to that kind of thing, you're not going to immediately get what he was going for, and you're not going to immediately latch on to even basic story elements, although they are there. I mean, if you're paying close enough attention to the film, it's not that hard to understand what's going on. I saw some reviews saying that they couldn't understand why this one kid was in a position that he was in this movie. And, I don't want to give too much away. Obviously, that's why I'm being very vague. But the thing about that is, if you pay close enough attention, you can kind of understand that this kid was in this position that he was in because he was actually friends with the other kids that were, the instigators of the whole thing in this movie. So when I see a review that says, well, why, I just don't understand why this kid was doing this. If you had watched the movie and paid closer attention, you'd understand that he has actually a sort of relationship with these other kids, and that relationship is absolutely important and paramount to understand in order to understand the rest of the movie and understand why we're focusing on this kid and understand all that background stuff. So, like I said, this is a movie you absolutely need to pay attention to. Just like Last Days, it's also very artsy-fartsy. And yeah, I mean, after I watched Last Days, I knew, you know what, I can't hold off anymore. I have to pick this up. Because I'm just tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting for a Blu-ray. I just said, screw it, I'm going to get the DVD. So, yep, it's a flipper disc, by the way. I mean, you can't escape them anymore. But at least it did come with that nice insert here, you know. Nice little insert. Tells you the chapters, chapter guide. But the disc is still a flipper disc. Seems like everything that I actually want on DVD nowadays, well, almost everything at least, is on a freaking flipper disc. But yes, now I have 2 of the 3 movies from his apparent trilogy that I didn't even know about until I started reading up on this a little bit more. Last Days and Elephant. So, maybe I'll pick up the last one. I can't remember what it was called. But, yeah, they're Cherry or something like that? I can't remember. Anyways, that'll do it for today. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.